Hi there, and welcome to my debrief of my PPR question I set in my blog. Hopefully you've had a good go at it. Hopefully you got the same answer as me, but I will go through it now and let's see how well you did. So, Jon Snow bought a UK castle from his stepfather Ned in January 952, and he lived in there for a year. So what I'm going to do is set up a table, and we're going to see which period he actually lived in his castle, which period he was deemed to live in his castle, and which periods he did not live in his castle. So between January 952 to December 952, we're going to have when he actually lived in the castle, when he was deemed to live in the castle, and when he did not. So no occupation in his castle. So we've got actual, deemed, and no occupation. So in the first year, he actually lived in his castle. So we're going to give him 1 year for that. Then in January 953, he left to take up employment in the north of the UK watching a wall. So he was employed, and he stayed there for 3 years. He then left his employment in January 956, decided to go travelling north of the wall. After 4 years, he got tired of wandering around in the cold, returned to his castle. So that's the important thing. He returned to his castle. So that means in the period of January 953 to December 955, which is a 3-year period, we can actually deem that all 3 of those years were deemed occupation, because he actually preceded and followed that period with actual occupation. So we're going to claim those 3 years because he was employed elsewhere within the country. And then in January 956 to December 959, because he returned in January 960, so that's to December 959. Now, that's a 4-year period. Don't get caught out the fact there's only 3 numbers between 56 and 59. It's January to December, so there's an extra year in there. So we're going to claim 3 years for any reason, which we can claim because he returned to the castle after it. But only 3 years. He wasn't working elsewhere. He wasn't self-employed or anything. So we're going to give him 1 year where he's not actually in the deemed to be living in that castle. So then from January 960 to December 960, he was actually back in his castle. Now, he spent 1 year living with his sister Sansa, and after a while he got really sick of her and he decided to leave. But this year was actual occupation, so we gave him 1 year for that. Then in January 961 to December 965, he worked abroad as a self-employed king. Now, those of you who read my blog know you get up to 4 years when you are abroad due to self-employment, but only if it is followed by actual occupation, which this is the trap that is more cunning than a trap set by Cersei Lannister. So we haven't actually got actual occupation, which follows this period of self-employment abroad. So we can't give him 4 years for being self-employed abroad. So that whole 5-year period when he's abroad is going to be no occupation. So he got tired of being self-employed and he retired to a small island. He never actually returned to his castle. So for this period of January 966 to December 967, we're going to give him the last 18 months as deemed occupation, because you always get the last 18 months provided you lived in that property at some point in its lifetime. So you get 1.5 years deemed and half of year, that's 1.5 deemed and half year of non-occupations. So we add that all up, so that gives 2 years of actual occupation, 7.5 years deemed occupation, and 6.5 years of non-occupation. So he realised again of £200,000. So we're going to calculate our PPR relief as the total period of actual and deemed occupation, which is 9.5 years, over 16, which is total period of occupation, times by the gain, which is £200,000. That gives us PPR relief of £118,750. So then that is the relief. So that is deducted from the gain. So we take the gain of £200,000, deduct the PPR relief of £118,750, gives us a taxable gain of £81,250.